motherly instincts kicked in. Why didn't your instincts kick in day one when you gave birth? Why? Because I was there. It didn't kick in. It didn't kick in. When the nurses came in and told you, can they talk to you about yourself? You're like, no. You just go ahead and put it out there, whatever's wrong. Yeah, and they said you had chlamydia. Your motherly instincts didn't kick in. They said we had to do a C-section. Guess what? You refused. You didn't want to mess up your little tattoo. Or you didn't want to get cut. Right?
The internet shook like a stadium collapsing the second Jason Lee opened his mouth about Chrisean Rock and the whispered junior health scare. It wasn't a comment. It was a digital explosion, the kind that makes Kardashians look like background extras in a silent film. Jason didn't ease into the topic or speak cautiously. He fired off accusations, insinuations, and spicy commentary with so much confidence people swore he had medical files in his back pocket. The second his rant hit the algorithm, social media split open like a fault line under pressure. People started replaying every Chrisean clip involving Junior with the seriousness of courtroom analysts. Jason's tone wasn't "I'm just sharing thoughts." It carried the energy of someone convinced the public deserved to know something dark. Something allegedly covered, something that could flip her entire image. And as fans clashed, Chrisean's name trended like sirens warning the city. Screenshots flew, threads formed, and whispers turned into echoing accusations. Jason made it sound like the health scare wasn't minor at all but a massive truth bomb waiting for the right detonator. Whether he was exposing something real or stirring chaos for sport, the effect was brutal. And the internet, it's foaming at the mouth for answers. From the moment Jason Lee's voice clipped through the internet, you could feel the temperature change like a storm front rolling in. He didn't whisper. He didn't hint. He blasted straight into the junior health scare with the tone of a man convinced he just uncovered a scandal embroidered in red flags. People swore the confidence in his voice alone felt like a slam dunk verdict. And that's all it took for comment sections to turn into digital hospitals where every stranger suddenly claimed medical expertise. The wildest part was how fast it escalated. Jason dropped one insinuation, and suddenly everyone wondered if Chrisean Rock was hiding something far more serious than a shaky livestream explanation. Because when it comes to Junior, every second of silence feels suspicious. The public has watched the baby's journey like a documentary with missing episodes, and the slightest rumor spreads like oxygen on flame. So when Jason alleged the health scare was not just a minor hospital moment, but a symptom of something deeper, the internet's spine froze. People combed through old clips of Chrisean holding Junior, analyzing body language like detectives tracking micro-expressions. Screenshots of Chrisean rubbing JR's back or checking his bottle suddenly became evidence. Jason had turned a whisper into an investigation. And everyone watching behaved like they were breaking a national case. The health scare itself had already stirred quiet nerves. Because nobody likes seeing a child with even a hint of vulnerability. But Jason's commentary was gasoline. He spoke like someone who'd been waiting for a chance to call Chrisean out on motherhood, hinting that certain decisions were questionable, certain habits alarming, certain reactions not matching the gravity of what may have been happening behind the scenes. Even people who used to defend her felt that nervous itch. If Jason was exaggerating, he did it so well that millions started wondering if Chrisean's highlight reels cloaked a darker reality. Chrisean's style has always been raw, emotional, unfiltered, the kind that people either applaud or fear depending on the day. So when Jason painted her as reckless during the health situation, the accusation hit harder. He framed it as a pattern, a cycle, something predictable rather than isolated. That stung, and the public fed on it like wolves. One post online wrote that Jason finally said what everyone was afraid to admit, and those words alone set everything ablaze. Commenters started pulling up her old meltdown videos, comparing tantrums to motherhood capability, as if social chaos and parenting were interchangeable. It got ugly fast. What made it worse was Jason's insinuation that JR's scare didn't come out of nowhere. He implied there were warning signs that anyone paying attention should have caught. His fans echoed him relentlessly, arguing that Chrisean's history of emotional volatility should have signaled potential problems long before Jason ever opened his mouth. One viral thread said, "If you film every breakdown but never talk about health responsibility, people will notice, whether fair or cruel." Those comments spread like poisonous pollen, sticking to Chrisean's name everywhere. Of course, Chrisean's supporters entered the arena furious, ready to defend her against what they saw as wildly unfair attacks. They argued Jason had overstepped, turning a private family moment into a public circus with no proof beyond tone and drama. They claimed he was weaponizing a sensitive moment for views, chasing headlines instead of compassion. They reminded people that babies get sick, health scares happen, and not every hospital visit is evidence of neglect or mystery. But even in defense, fear lingered. Because once suspicion is planted, it doesn't leave. It sits, it festers, it grows legs. The junior health scare became the centerpiece of every discussion, overshadowing music, interviews, live streams, and petty drama that once dominated timelines. Jason's statements forced people to look backward. They dug up moments when Junior looked sleepy, moments when Chrisean looked distracted, moments when no one paid attention at the time because nothing seemed unusual. Clips of Junior coughing, JR rubbing his eyes, JR wrapped tightly in blankets. All of it became angles. The interpretation that Jason might be hinting those signs meant more than the public realized. Jason didn't need proof to create a storm. All he needed was conviction. And he delivered it with expert precision, using a tone so serious that people started unconsciously treating his speculation like fact. When someone speaks with certainty, the internet doesn't ask questions. It assumes there's a reason. Suddenly, Chrisean's every post got flooded with demands for clarity. People wanted medical explanations. They wanted formal statements. They wanted to know whether Junior was truly okay or if something deeper had been ignored behind the curtain of chaos that lives in Chrisean's image. And Chrisean's silence in those first hours made everything worse. If she posted a selfie, people yelled about priorities. If she uploaded a music snippet, they screamed about transparency. The internet was thirsty for reassurance, and instead it got her acting like nothing was wrong. Jason knew exactly what he triggered. You could almost hear the grin in his voice when he implied that lack of immediate defense meant his point had hit the target. For the audience, silence wasn't peace. Silence was guilt-wearing cologne. People began quoting Jason as if he were the official narrator of the story. They reposted snippets of his rant, captioning them with ominous lines like "someone finally said it." Others dug into old drama between Jason and Chrisean, suggesting his commentary came from history, not concern. They rewound timelines, connecting past interviews, shade moments, arguments that now suddenly look like foreshadowed tension. If those old videos were once brushed off as petty influencer friction, Jason had now turned them into evidence of deeper conflict. Jason hinted that JR's health scare could be linked to decisions Chrisean made out of pride rather than precaution. That part hurt the most, because nothing stabs deeper than questioning a mother's instincts. He made it sound like motherhood should have matured her faster, steadied her sooner, calmed her fire instead of fueling it. Even though he never outright accused her of harm, his insinuations were like thunder rumbling before lightning. He made people look at her differently, replaying every emotional eruption as proof of instability rather than entertainment. Influencers began chiming in, dropping blurry warnings about parents protecting their children from lifestyle recklessness. Music pages slid side comments into unrelated posts, pretty much shading Chrisean without saying her name. Even celebrities who never interacted with her suddenly liked comments supporting Jason's perspective. And that's all it takes online. A simple like from the right person, and the narrative feels validated. The snowball rolled downhill faster than anyone expected, because Jason didn't just demand answers. He pressured the world to doubt what they willingly believed before. Meanwhile, memes weaponized the situation cruelly. They joked that JR's medical chart was classified material and that Jason had been hired as a digital child welfare officer. Another edit showed him at a podium holding fake documents, declaring the truth is out there. And underneath the jokes, every caption carried razor blades. People treat pain like entertainment when they've never lived it. A child's health scare became television for strangers who never met the family. And somehow, Jason made that feel normal. But the scariest part came in how fans reacted emotionally. For the first time, people who once laughed through every feud suddenly leaned in with concern. They weren't watching for entertainment anymore. They wanted answers, accountability, reassurance, anything that would put the puzzle into context. Jason's commentary created a moral thunderstorm. If he was right, then Junior needed more protection than cameras and clout could ever offer. If he was wrong, then Chrisean deserved an apology bigger than the scandal. But that uncertainty ripped trust apart like thin fabric. Through it all, Jason spoke like a man convinced he was doing the public a favor by exposing something urgent. Like he believed that if he didn't call it out, no one else would. That loud purpose is what hooked half the internet like fish on wire. They wanted to believe him because conviction feels safe when facts are blurry. And Chrisean's emotional volatility. One walks away without scars. The fallout wasn't coming. It was already here. Jason's words didn't just stir chaos, they detonated full cultural warfare. The outrage began with influencers reposting clips, dropping cryptic captions like "Protect the babies first." And the entire internet acted like this was an emergency state briefing. Fans made stitched reaction videos, blowing up Jason's tone into a prophecy soundtrack. Suddenly, it wasn't just about the health scare itself. It was about whether Chrisean Rock could ever be trusted with JR's well-being. Jason positioned himself like a whistleblower standing on a rooftop with a megaphone. And the public listened with frightening loyalty. Commentators dissected every piece of Chrisean's personality through the lens of what if Jason is right. They analyzed her fights, her public breakdowns, her infamous on-camera chaos, all rebranded as indicators of poor judgment. Clips of her dropping the baby's bottle or crying mid-live resurfaced, now painted as red flags. Even memes got vicious, with captions implying that motherhood wasn't compatible with her lifestyle. Jason had cracked a door nobody ever asked to be opened. And the internet sprinted right through it like detectives in a missing evidence thriller. Celebrities began chiming in one by one, some subtly, some aggressively. One rapper posted a story saying kids deserve peace, not chaos. And although he never named names, everyone assumed he aimed at Chrisean. A well-known host commented under Jason's clip that someone needed to say this a long time ago. That alone was enough to send the narrative blazing down the timeline like wildfire. People love validation from the rich and verified. The moment familiar names started nodding toward Jason's stance, more spectators switched sides as though allegiance were a trending filter. It didn't take long before people weaponized old interviews where Chrisean admitted she struggled with emotional control. Viewers clipped that footage and placed it beside Jason's rant, acting like they were presenting courtroom evidence. She said it herself became the go-to slogan for anti-Chrisean threads, each comment soaking in confidence and judgment. And in that confidence, a fire grew. People forgot this was a real infant situation. They treated it like scandal sport, cheering one side while booing the other. Hungry to see which name would collapse first, Jason's insinuation that JR's health scare reflected deeper negligence sent millions spiraling into health conspiracy threads. People who have never opened a medical textbook were diagnosing the baby from a 30-second video clip. They speculated about nutrition, safety, developmental delays, and routines like licensed pediatricians in training. Some demanded protective oversight, others swore someone needed to intervene. The entire internet pretended it was child services, convinced Jason's tone alone qualified as proof. It was unhinged and exhilarating because chaos always comes gift-wrapped as certainty online. Jason fed that certainty by dropping lines that sounded like insider whispers. He didn't just accuse, he alluded. He spoke like he had heard things from people who knew more than the general public. And that narrative alone set the internet ablaze. When someone says, "Trust me," there's more. Curiosity becomes wildfire. People started pulling receipts from corners of the digital universe nobody had touched in months. Old podcasts, fragments of livestream arguments, even clips of Carlissa ranting about private matters suddenly resurfaced as if every rant now sounded prophetic. soon. The timeline became divided into conspiracy theorists, moral critics, and emotional defenders. The conspiracy crowd insisted Jason had access to private knowledge that would blow the story wide open. They claimed the health scare was just step one, that more truth was coming if Chrisean didn't break soon. The moral critics declared that motherhood wasn't a reality show prop, accusing her of caring more about clout than safety. And the defenders, loyal and outraged, blasted anyone who dared to question a mother's love during a frightening time. The digital battlefield was loud and relentless. Then the memes took a dark turn, because when the internet senses weakness, it becomes crueler than tabloids. Edits popped up showing Jason in a judge's wig while Chrisean stood trial. Others depicted Junior as the silent witness in a courtroom scene the world invented. The jokes weren't harmless. They dug into guilt narratives, taunting and pressing wounds that hadn't even healed. People laughed like the story wasn't about a child's vulnerable moment. They treated trauma like a punchline because scandal addiction makes empathy disappear fast. Meanwhile, Chrisean's absence became its own headline. Each hour she stayed quiet fueled more dangerous speculation. Some people insisted her silence meant Jason had exposed something too true to deny. Others claimed she was preparing to clap back with receipts and called the quiet storm before eruption energy. Screenshots of her page refreshes became circus acts. Any disappearing post, any edited caption, any removed emoji became proof that the pressure was eating her alive. Silence becomes guilt when the world has already chosen a villain. Jason, for his part, didn't let the storm die. He threw tiny jabs whenever possible, liking shady comments, reposting subtle jabs, and dropping sneaky lines on lives. Each breadcrumb pulled millions deeper, convincing them they'd been right to doubt Chrisean all along. Jason played puppet master without needing strings. His silence at times even felt sinister, like he knew exactly how far to pull the tension without snapping it. A single side-eye emoji from him caused more panic than some celebrities cause with entire interviews. The emotional war turned brutal when people began tearing apart Chrisean's lifestyle, relationships, and routines. They blamed her environment, her music industry chaos, her history of fights and breakdowns, even her circle of friends. Everything became a theory, everything a potential cause. People swore Jason's words exposed a pattern that was too obvious to ignore. And because drama always outscreens logic, nobody paused to ask whether any of this had real basis. They just followed the fire wherever it burned brightest. Then came the whispers that Jason wasn't the only one with questions. Insiders began leaking rumors of other personalities waiting to speak up. Podcasters hinted at things they'd been told behind doors. Commentators teased that the story is uglier than you know. When multiple familiar faces start hinting without specifying, the crowd goes feral. People demanded names, demanded live explanations, demanded everything but decency. And of course, the more desperate they became. The deeper the speculation drowned the truth, supporters of Chrisean tried fighting back, posting positive clips, softer moments. Times she looked loving, caring, and aware. But those videos sank. Scandal always gets more engagement than softness. The internet doesn't click on good moms doing their best. It clicks on maybe she failed. Negativity became currency. Suspicion became entertainment. And Jason had delivered the perfect storyline to feed the greed of public voyeurism. No matter how many receipts her fans shared, the skepticism refused to die. People began posting countdown memes, as if waiting for the next revelation like it was a scheduled TV episode. Jason Part 2 dropping tomorrow. Will Chrisean respond at midnight? The narrative evolved into serialized drama, complete with imagined cliffhangers and fake release dates. It stopped being gossip and became television in real time. The health scare turned into the emotional lever used by the internet to measure who cared and who lied. And every rumor that followed only amplified the tension. Even when the noise should have settled, it didn't. Jason's voice lingered like heavy perfume, clinging to every opinion left on the table. People said they couldn't hear his tone, couldn't dismiss his conviction, couldn't shake the subtle confidence that maybe, just maybe, he knew something the world hadn't processed yet. That's the twisted power of narrative. Once a seed is planted, it grows faster than truth can catch up. And Jason planted it with expert precision, letting the rest of the internet water it with speculation. And as the timeline swirled with panic and obsession, one horrifying truth emerged. It didn't matter if Jason was right. It didn't matter if he exaggerated. It didn't even matter if he twisted the moment into attention bait. What mattered was that millions now saw Chrisean through a cracked lens. Doubt had done its job. A single health scare, amplified by a loud voice, mutated into a global debate over her worthiness as a mother. And no one who speaks that loudly, that harshly, ever leaves a story the same. The damage was already dripping through every corner. When the noise finally simmered just enough for people to breathe, the aftermath rolled in cold and heavy. Chrisean's name was no longer trending for music, drama, or infamous meltdowns. It trended for health scare accountability, motherhood scrutiny, and Jason Lee claims. That shift alone felt like reputation collapse. People who once laughed at her chaos now stared with arms crossed, suspicious, judgmental, and unapologetically bold about assuming the worst. Silence turned into confession. Any attempt at normal posting became avoidance. Normal posting became avoidance. And nothing wounded sharper than that sudden switch in tone toward her image. The people closest to the situation started acting like ghosts, offering nothing to clarify the storm. Blueface floated around online as though the scandal belonged to someone else, never once stepping forward to defend or deny. That absence painted him as someone quietly observing instead of supporting the mother of his child. Fans whispered that even he believed Jason's insinuations by not shutting them down. Others said he stayed quiet because he wanted the pressure to push Chrisean toward public accountability. Either way, the man always at the center suddenly looked like a spectator. Commentators predicted that Chrisean's relationships would never look the same after this spectacle. Trust within her circle appeared cracked, brittle, and beyond patchwork. People looked at her friends and wondered who leaked whispers that Jason claimed to know. They dissected histories, clipped old arguments, and analyzed friendships that dissolved without explanation. Every falling out suddenly looked suspicious. Every goodbye became foreshadowing. When a scandal eats into someone's personal life, the internet acts like an excavator, digging until it finds a reason to believe betrayal sat in every handshake. Brands also paid attention. Shows and podcasts that once wanted her chaotic personality began tiptoeing with caution, afraid that association might trigger backlash or moral boycotts. Media companies prey heavily on image, and being tied to alleged recklessness toward a child can stain endorsements faster than any messy fight ever could. Industry whispers said the phone hasn't rung with the same enthusiasm. That some partnerships hovered in standby mode waiting to see if she publicly addressed Jason's claims. Silence becomes expensive when you're a public figure. Jason, on the other hand, walked away with the spotlight burning bright. Whether respected, despised, or feared, he came out as the loud voice that dared to say what millions felt too nervous to repeat. Followers grew. Views skyrocketed. His clips shared in group chats like contraband. Suddenly, he wore the badge of truth collar, even if nobody could confirm what he said. That's the dangerous part about scandal culture. The person who speaks boldly earns credibility they never needed to prove. Jason may have thrown fire, but the internet crowned him the TORCHBARER for Chrisean, the emotional toll balloon beyond digital humiliation. People questioned her reactions to motherhood instead of acknowledging the terrifying vulnerability of watching a child's health falter. Fear doesn't always look graceful. Panic doesn't always look composed. But the public doesn't accept that. They want composure, articulation, and calm reassurance, forgetting that real pain rarely arrives neatly packaged. If she cried too hard, she looked unstable. If she didn't cry at all, she looked detached. Every expression got weaponized. And that emotional trap left no path forward that didn't look suspicious. The narrative demanded she respond, yet responding risked validating the storyline Jason handed her. Some fans begged her to hold a live stream, explain what happened, show receipts, prove the baby was safe and healthy. but others feared any attempt at defending herself would look like a panicked mother covering tracks. When people decide you're guilty, your innocence reads like performance. Chrisean stood at that cruel crossroads where every choice digs a deeper pit. And internet culture never offers grace. Only verdicts as rumors continued spinning. Someone leaked claims that certain people around her privately questioned how she handled stress during the scare. Whether true or rumor generated, it fanned more suspicion. The idea that loved ones whispered concerns in private hit deeper than any public allegation. If the people closest to her saw red flags, then maybe Jason wasn't just stirring chaos. That implication wrung out sympathy from some and resentment from others, pushing Chrisean into emotional exile as the mother under investigation narrative swallowed everything she'd ever proudly shown. In the middle of all this, JR became the unintended symbol of innocence dragged through scandal. Strangers projected fears and theories onto a child who never asked to be public property. What began as curiosity warped into obsession, dissecting tiny moments with a microscope of invasive critique. The internet forgot that health scares in babies happen often, without dark storylines attached. But once Jason branded that moment with suspicion, compassion evaporated. People wanted mystery, scandal, and proof more than reassurance or humanity. Jason never walked back his commentary. He didn't soften or offer nuance. He let the world sit with the implication that someone needed to step up if Chrisean wouldn't. That calm boldness gave people permission to view her through a distorted lens. When someone speaks like they are the guardian of truth, the audience forgets their words were only allegation. Confidence is powerful currency in a digital world wired for scandal. Jason used it recklessly but effectively, and the result was public trial without due process. The worst damage came from what people silently decided about her. Once you are framed as a mother who might overlook warning signs, the stain doesn't wash off. Clips of Chrisean laughing, parting, or acting carefree after the health scare got reinterpreted as cold or careless. Strangers said she should look more worried if the situation was truly serious, as though grief and fear follow predictable scripts. People judged her humanity through the warped glare of scandal addiction. And no apology from Jason could ever unteach that instinct. As dust settled, the community that once embraced her raw energy fractured. Some defended her harder than ever, believing she was targeted unfairly by a powerful voice with an agenda. Others distanced, unwilling to gamble their empathy against Jason's sharp suggestion. Public sympathy became splintered like glass, where every shard cut deep depending on which angle you stared through. Even neutral spectators admitted the uneasy shift in perception. The image she once owned so loudly now belonged to the doubt Jason planted. In the aftermath, Chrisean entered a version of spotlight that nobody envies. She became the subject of whispered judgment, endless speculation, and side-eyed suspicion. People expect her to prove stability, as though motherhood requires a performance portfolio. Even if Junior is perfectly healthy, perfectly safe, and perfectly loved, the crowd won't unsee the shadow Jason cast. Nothing is more dangerous than a rumor gifted enough to sound like possibility. It becomes history long before truth ever gets its chance to speak. And if there was a lesson, it was bleak. The Junior health scare didn't reveal truth. It revealed the internet's hunger to turn trauma into sport. It showed how easily one voice can rewrite someone's identity. And it reminded everyone watching that no one is safe under the spotlight of mass suspicion. Chrisean may heal, Junior may thrive, and time may bury this story, but the stain remains. Jason walked away louder. She walked away bruised. And the public walked away convinced that mothers must fight for innocence in courtrooms that don't exist, because once the internet smells scandal, it never goes back to breathing air. It inhales accusation. It worships doubt, and it keeps its eyes locked on whoever it crowned the monster. Whether Jason was justified or reckless doesn't matter anymore. The narrative already leapt out of their hands and belongs to millions. And when the truth no longer matters, reputation becomes the casualty. That's the brutal price of being human in a world that treats pain like episodes, and that's the storm Jason lit. The meltdown the internet demanded, and the emotional wreckage Chrisean now has to carry whether she asked for it or not. This wasn't gossip. It wasn't harmless shade. It was the kind of viral hit that sticks like a scar and forces everyone to rethink everything they believed before one single rant. Maybe Jason was right. Maybe he was reckless. Or maybe the truth sits somewhere in the middle, tangled inside assumptions and echo chambers. Either way, the fallout exposed more about us than them. We don't wait for facts. We crown villains now before you disappear into the comments to argue theories, demand answers, or drag someone raw. Hit that like button like it owes you rent. Smash subscribe the way the internet smashed Chrisean's piece. Turn on notifications so hard the bell thinks it's part of the scandal too. Because around here, the truth never knocks politely. It kicks doors, it leaks. It comes covered in smoke and controversy, and celeb insanity is always here with binoculars on standby. Drop your take below. Was Jason the whistleblower the culture needed, or the drama merchant nobody asked for? Did Chrisean get unfairly weaponized, or did silence speak louder than any denial ever could? I want every theory, every suspicion, every cliffhanger prediction filling that comment section like courtroom benches. Because here, scandals don't end. They mutate. They escalate. And the next twist usually arrives before the last one finished breathing. Stay locked in, stay questioning, and stay scandal ready. The next viral collision could hit tomorrow. And when it does, celeb insanity will be front row with sarcasm sharpened and drama fully loaded. Trust, this saga isn't finished. It just hit pause. Finished. It just hit pause.